Welcome back to Sculpted Thoughts. On today's episode, we'll be introducing a guest who will be providing insight on whether they think that mindfulness has really been disappearing in sculpture and where that may lead.
My name is Jeremiah Nickerson. I am a high school ceramics and sculpture teacher.
Okay, so we will dive right into it now. Um, how would you define mindfulness in the context of sculpture or artistic practice?
I think that it kind of goes hand in hand. Working in art, uh, sculpture in particular, working with your hands really forces you to shut off the outside world and focus just on what you're doing, and allows for one to really just be alone and be in the moment and be with yourself.
So how would you define a mindful sculpture? Like what would you define that as? Like if you were to you can use an example. Like how would you describe a sculpture that conveys mindfulness or wants to bring about mindfulness? I know it's a difficult question.
So, like a particular sculpture or like a type of sculpture?
Just a type of sculpture. Like say, do you think a sculpture has to have representation behind it, like intentionality to be mindful?
No, I think the act of creating itself um, is where the mindfulness really comes from. Um, Not the end result doesn't really matter in that regard. I'm sure there are plenty of examples that it does, but just the creating process, allowing you to just kind of shut out the outside world and just, I guess, uh, be one with whatever medium you're working with, will really allow you to focus on that stuff, or not even focus, just kind of take yourself someplace else.
Um, so when you're saying like it's all about like what goes into it, have do you think that you've observed changes in how sculptors have approached their work over the years? Like in the sense that do you think that capitalism or mass production or the art market has played a role in shaping how sculpture is today and how sculptors might approach um, their works of art?
In the sense that um, commercial art, absolutely. There's that personal experience that I think is what's important about art is kind of taken away. And you'll see, especially with a lot of modern art, that no longer matters. It's really just either shock value or just what the creation is, kind of is become secondhand. But traditionally, and what's most important, I believe, isn't, what am I saying? I think that kind of the way that the commercialization of the art market um, kind of ruins it. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I actually have an
Okay.
example just like that in my in and later I'll discuss it in the podcast and I've
Okay.
discussed it in the previous episode as well, I think. Um, do you know the artist Damien Hirst?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I think I used him as an example specifically. So his work for his 2007 work for the Love of God was just a skull encrusted in diamonds, and I know that it was meant to comment on the just like mortality as well as consumerism greed. But then because of like the shock value, like you were saying, and like the market buzz around it, I think the true meaning of it got drowned out. And it was revealed later that what he was looking for in the creation of this was just to be able to sell it. I don't remember specific like exactly what the price of it was, but it was a lot. And the sale fell through because it was so much, and he still wanted to maintain some sort of ownership over it. So I completely agree with you. Um, and now with the creation of NFT art, how do you think the material process, such as hand carving versus digital fabrication, impacts the artist's relationship to the object and their awareness? Like, do you think that like 3D NFT art could in any way convey any sort of mindfulness or intentionality, or is it just about uh, like owning it? Because it's not even about like with NFT art, it's just about making a profit like over over time. Like it might um its value might increase, and then you're like looking into selling it. Like, do you think that that has any intentionality or meaning behind the work, or is it just for profit?
No, it's a pyramid scheme. I
Yeah,
I I don't yeah, I it's that's not art.
yeah,
Damien Hirst, not
questionable
really art.
also. Like the
Um
shark also can like in the I don't remember what type of fluid it was contained in, but like just like the dead body of the shark, I don't really know what that is supposed to represent, and I
a
think
lot
that's just like seen a lot nowadays.
shock.
Yeah,
Shock value.
exactly.
And
Yes.
art is or art should be uh the expression of a human soul and the release of that. And what you see with a lot of modern art is not that. And you know, my thought on modern art isn't really popular in the art world. But I don't think most of it's really art. I think it's you're in college. It's shit.
Yeah. So that actually goes perfectly with what I thought. So if you look back to like ancient sculptures like the Code of Hammurabi or the Pillars of Ashoka, which I've also mentioned in previous episodes, I think that they perfectly embody mindfulness in the Stoic, in the Aristotelian sense, which I've defined previously as well. Um, like the way that Aristotle and Epictetus frame mindfulness is that it should impart something onto society. It should want to like invoke individuals in a society to act like righteously. And in the works that I just previously mentioned, like the Pillars of Ashoka, it guides society toward like a state of like I want to say a state of like more morality because it just teaches them to live rightfully, like respect others, things like that. And so, do you think that type of mindfulness can be revived in sculpture, or has the cultural context shifted too far?
No, I think there's wonderful art being made every day. I think that the art world is a scam or a sham, I guess is a better word,
Yeah.
where it's really just about, like you said, um, trying to generate revenue and, collect things that you hope will increase in value over time when that's not what art's about and that's not why you should be making art or people should be making art. And the fact that Damien Hirst is getting paid what he gets paid for what he's creating, while genuine artists who put their blood and guts and heart and soul into the work they create struggle to get by, is a shame. And I, yeah, I think there's 100% still value and wonderful things out there that will never be replica or you know re- especially now where there's artificial intelligence that creates art, I guess.
Yes, yes,
It'll never
exactly.
it'll never take that. And when you have people like Hearst who, I think I saw a video of him recently where he had like a stick and was just walking up and down beating canvases in the same way on every stick with the stick on every canvas, and then probably is turning around selling each individual one for some absurd profit when it's
Yeah,
garbage.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, I think that, and it's been like that for at least 100 years, where the art market's not about what the actual art is, but about the potential for profit, um, which is it's a shame because there are so many um, people out there that create for the right reasons, but aren't getting the right recognition.
Right, I agree with that. Do you think with the way that sculpture has taken its turn now, like away from mindfulness, do you still think that in the future, if future generations look back on the sculptures, the modern sculptures that are created in today's society, do you think they'll be able to gather anything meaningful from that? Like, you know how in the past, like, uh, we look at a work of art and we use it as like a baseline of how, like, we frame that society in that time
Mhm.
period. Do you think that in the future, if say they look at NFT sculpture or they look at Damien Hirst's work, do you think that they're still going to be able to gather anything meaningful from that, like, and learn anything about our society?
Those particular pieces, nothing good. They will learn about our society, but I don't think they'll learn anything good. But there's plenty of art out there that will speak to what this we are as a world. But at the same time, that kind of does speak to where we are as a world.
Mm.
I actually just got back from Greece 2 weeks ago. So, I was seeing 4,000-year-old sculptures that are better than a lot of what you see now that were
Yeah.
done, carved out of marble by hand with primitive tools. And, now you don't see anything like that. And so when it's kind of funny that you mentioned looking back at these civilizations, because it's absolutely incredible to see what was done um, so long ago and how well you can truly grasp that society. Whereas now, I don't know. I mean, we're the NFT stuff, the digital stuff. Like, where is it?
Right, on a
Like
blockchain.
we have the ability to access it.
Mm.
If we go into another dark age type thing where we lose the technology, like happened after Greece, who's to say they'll ever figure out how to pull it up again? Whereas those are actual substantive, things that were able to be found and able to be looked at and viewed. A digital file isn't real, doesn't actually exist. And so that type of stuff, I don't know. Um, I think that's why I think it's important to actually create things and to use materials that will exist.
All right. I think this is a good stopping point. Thank you so
Okay.
much for joining me on my episode today. And yes, thank you.
That brings us to the end of this episode. A heartfelt thank you to our guest Jeremiah for bringing such clarity and depth to this conversation. Their reflections help us reimagine sculpture not just as an object of form, but as a space of ethical presence and mindful engagement. If today's discussion made you pause, even for a moment, to consider how art shapes our inner and outer worlds, then we've done our job. As always, thank you for tuning in to Sculpted Thoughts.